Zionists ban non-Muslims from Al-Aqsa. Watch this space. Zionists prohibit non-Muslim access to Al-Aqsa compound, according to Daily Sabah. Zionists have banned Jewish visitors and non-Muslim tourists from entering the Al-Aqsa mosque compound in occupied Al-Quds until the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, according to a statement made by Zionist Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office on Tuesday. A violent Zionist police raid at the site last week escalated tensions amid claims of rocket attacks on Zionists from Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria that were met with Zionist strikes. In previous years, Zionists have banned Jewish visits to the compound in the last days of Ramadan. Recently, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told his Zionist counterpart Isaac Herzog that tensions in the area must be de-escalated and that Muslim worshippers should be able to practice itikaf, which involves isolation in a mosque, in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Palestine accuses the Zionists of systematically working to Judaize Al-Quds, where Al-Aqsa is located, and obliterate its Arab and Islamic identity. For Muslims, Al-Aqsa represents the world's third holiest site. Jews, for their part, call the area the Temple Mount, saying it was the site of two ancient Jewish temples. Zionists occupied Al-Quds during the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. It annexed the entire city in 1980, in a move never recognized by the international community. Each year, Zionist forces ramp up violent and oppressive policies against Palestinians during the month of Ramadan. And from Aram Online, Zionists ban Jewish visitors and non-Muslims from entering Al-Aqsa compound till Ramadan end. Jewish visitors and non-Muslim tourists will be prevented from entering Al-Aqsa mosque compound till the end of the holy month of Ramadan, the office of the Zionist Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced in a statement on Tuesday. The statement added that the decision came based on the recommendation of Yoav Gallant, the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staff, the Shin Bet Chief, and the Commissioner General. This decision comes in light of recent confrontations between Palestinians and Zionist police in the Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holy month of Ramadan, which coincides this year with the Jewish Passover holiday. Zionist-Palestinian tensions have soared in the past week after a series of Zionist police raids on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which saw Zionist forces firing tear gas and beating worshippers with clubs while they're participating in itikaf, a religious practice of seclusion inside mosques commonly observed during Ramadan. Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third most sacred site in the Islamic faith, and it's the focal point for Ramadan celebrations. Jews who know the site as the Temple Mount are allowed to visit the site but not pray there. Prior to the decision, Netanyahu held a meeting with his senior officials, including Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. The far-right Zionist Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, described in a statement the move as a serious mistake that would not bring peace, but may only escalate the situation. On Tuesday morning, around 800 Zionist settlers stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound under heavy protection of Zionist police, carrying out provocative tours and performing Talmudic rituals in its courtyards, Palestinian press agency Safa reported. The settlers entered the compound in groups through the Mughrabi Gate, while Zionist police were deployed in the courtyards of Al-Aqsa, its gates, and on the roof of the Al-Qibli prayer hall, Safa said, citing the Islamic Waqf, the Jordan body responsible for administering the Al-Aqsa compound. The police also forced Palestinians out of the compound under the pretext of filming the settlers. Let's keep it real. The Zionists are making decisions about something that the Islamic Waqf in Jordan run. So Jordan, they can, maintain their sovereignty. Zionists halt Jewish visits to Al-Aqsa, says gunman shot dead. Zionists halted visits by Jews and tourists to a flashpoint Jerusalem holy site on Tuesday, and its military said soldiers shot dead 2 Palestinian gunmen in the occupied West Bank, as a wave of unrest showed no sign of subsiding. Last week, a Zionist police raid at the Al-Aqsa compound, a tinderbox in the decades-old Zionist-Palestinian conflict, triggered rocket attacks from Gaza, South Lebanon, and Syria that drew Zionist air and artillery strikes. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement after security talks that visits by non-Muslims to the sacred compound known in Judaism as the Temple Mount will be stopped until the end of Ramadan, expected around April. It's the Dome of the Rock. The idea that it's a tinderbox is disrespectful. It's not a tinderbox. Under the long-standing status quo arrangement governing, and again, status quo, explain what that is. Arrangement governing the compound, which Zionists say it maintains. Non-Muslims can visit, but only Muslims are allowed to worship. See, Zionists say they maintain it, but they don't maintain it. Islamic Waqf maintains it. However, small groups of Jewish visitors have increasingly been documented praying at the outskirts of the site in defiance of those rules. Illegal. Netanyahu's far-right police minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, denounced the move. When terrorists strike us, we must strike back with great force, not surrender to its whims, he said in a statement. With a year-long escalation of Zionist-Palestinian violence, tensions are running especially high in the Holy Land. This is all crap. What is that? Local Arm Alliance at Den of Lions confirmed that the 2 men were militants, and the Palestinian Health Ministry confirmed their deaths. Zionist-Palestinian violence has surged with frequent military West Bank raids amid a spate of Palestinian street attacks. More than 90 Palestinians, most of them fighters in militant groups, but some of them civilians, have been killed since January, and at least 19 Zionists foreigners have died. And from Al-Mayadeen, settlers banned from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque for remainder of Ramadan. The Zionist occupation has banned Zionist occupiers and visitors from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque compound until the end of Ramadan, in light of recent tensions over stormings of the holy site. Jewish visitors will be prohibited from entering the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound until the very end of Ramadan, effective Wednesday, Zionist occupation Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said Tuesday after security consultations on the issue in light of confrontations between Palestinians and the Israeli occupation forces, as well as Zionist occupiers over storming carried out by the latter parties. The Zionist occupation takes this decision habitually in order to limit violence as the holidays period approaches. Zionist media claim through the violence in question is committed by Zionist occupiers and led to after incursions and desecrations of the holy Muslim site by the IOF and the illegal settlers. That grammar is not correct there. The Israeli occupation takes a decision habitually in order to limit violence as the holiday period approaches. So I guess they do it often, and desecration of the holy Muslim site by the IOF and the illegal settlers. It's committed by Israeli settlers and led to after incursions and desecration of the holy Muslim site by the IOF and the illegal settlers. Zionist media noted that it was believed that the incumbent far-right government would change course and not impose the ban this year, but the current situation in occupied Palestine might have forced its hand. Zionist newspaper Makor Rishon military correspondent Noam Amir said the Office of the Security Minister issued a clarification saying that contrary to various reports regarding barring settlers from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque until the end of Ramadan, there was a consensus among the various security authorities regarding the prohibition. The heads of the various security services, the chief of the staff, Shin Bet chief, and the police chief supported the position of Security Minister Yoav Gallant, he added. Zionist Police Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir described the decision as a grave mistake, saying it would not mitigate the existing tensions and may only lead to an escalation. The unexpected decision comes after earlier reports said the Zionist occupation security establishment is on high alert, deploying additional Iron Dome batteries out of fear of impending rocket and drone attacks on the occasion of Al-Quds Day, commemorated on the first Friday of the holy month of Ramadan. In light of the ongoing tensions all over occupied Palestine and the region, especially due to last week's incidents when the Zionist occupation was bombed from Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza, the batteries were deployed in various Zionist settlements over the weekend, Zionist Channel 12 News reported. Commando fighters were stationed in central Zionist-occupied Palestine to bolster the Zionist police and embolden the sense of security in city centers based on the directions of the Minister of Security. Zionist media explained the IOF were on high alert out of precaution and in anticipation of aerial offensives, cyber attacks, and operations similar to the one thwarted in the morning. This comes in light of the continuous Zionist raids against Al-Aqsa Mosque, as well as the brutalization of Palestinians stationing themselves in the holy site. The Zionist occupation forces on Sunday turned the courtyards of Al-Aqsa Mosque into military barracks in a bid to provide protection for the Zionist settlers storming the Muslim holy site on the fourth day of Passover. The Islamic Endowments Department in Al-Quds said scores of letters stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque in groups from the Moroccan Gate, adding that they carried out provocative tours and performed some rites under protection of the Zionist occupation forces. The IOS provocation sent settlers into frenzy, with Zionist media reporting that current situation resembled the time leading up to the Saif al-Quds battle under an incident in Al-Aqsa, which can also be dragged into a wide confrontation this time. The first round of aggression spurred up a week of Zionist violence and Palestinian confrontation that spread all over the occupied state in various forms, from rallies to resistance operations. And moreover, the security concerns come as Zionist media and the occupation's strategic situation has worsened over the past several months. And here's Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh on the violence in the West Bank.
Prime Minister, can I ask you, in the end, it comes down to people and to death and to mourning and to the ongoing hopelessness. We have a young 15-year-old Palestinian boy who's been shot and killed by Israeli security forces. We also have the mother of two sisters, Israeli-British sisters. They were killed in a shootout, and now the mother has died of her injuries. I want to know your feelings about all of this after all your years in power, but how is your government working with the Israeli government to de-escalate tension and try to restore security?
Well, by all means, occupation in itself is a source of all violence. As we have seen it, is not only today, is not only yesterday, but every single day. This Israeli government in particular has adopted a special policy that one can call shoot to kill policy. Since the beginning of the year, 96 Palestinians have been killed, a number of them including this morning. A 15-year-old boy has been killed, 75-year-old man has been killed, and all in between, men, women, young men, old men, and so on. So occupation is the source of every violence. Incursions into the mosque, incursions into refugee camps, house demolitions, colonization, intensification of settlements, this sort of marching today with a number of ministers and Knesset members calling for colonization programs to be intensified, land expropriation, all of these has been the main cause for all this wave of violence and wave of terrorist act that the Israeli army has been adopted on one hand, and on the other, you are 100% right that Ben Gvir has been calling the Israelis to hold arms, has been calling settlers who are already armed to really act immediately. This policy of shoot to kill has brought very dangerous consequences on the Palestinian on the one hand and on the whole region on the other. What we have seen in the mosque was totally unacceptable. People were praying at midnight and the Israeli police encouraged into the mosque, raided the mosque, and they were hitting people, pulling women from their hair, and so on and so forth. These acts, they have created incredible mood of anger among every Palestinian wherever they are, in Gaza, in Ramallah, in the West Bank, in Lebanon, in Syria. So there is a mood of anger that is there in the heart and the mind of every Palestinian.
Do you worry,